guys, I just got in from the garden, but I want to show you quickly how to make blackberry syrup. My daughter's even making waffles tonight for dinner, so we'll be eating this right away, but I'll tell you how you can can it too. Homemade blackberry syrup is as good as it gets, you guys. You'll be looking for pancakes, waffles, ice cream, cheesecake, whatever you can use as a vehicle to get this stuff in your mouth. Or if you're shameless like me, you'll just settle for a spoon. Where we live, wild blackberries abound. This time of year, they're growing everywhere. Just on Monday night, we all got in the car as a whole family and we drove down the street to pick blackberries on the side of the road. Then a couple of days later, we saw blackberries outside of the orthodontist, so we picked them while my daughter was in for an appointment. Okay, let me show you the ingredients. Okay, here are the ingredients for one batch. You can totally half this or double it or triple it. It works just fine. It's not fussy like jam. I have the printable recipe available on my blog. I'll leave a link below for you. Okay, 4 cups of de-seeded blackberry juice or pulp, 1½ cups of sugar, 1 tablespoon of bottled lemon juice, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I've just got a little bit left there. Okay, the first step is de-seeding the berries. We used to use this to de-seed the berries. It works fine. You just spin it and the juice and pulp comes out and the seeds stay in here. But it's kind of tedious when you have a lot to do. Several years ago we got a berry screen for our aroma food strainer and it made things so much faster. This is the same contraption that I use for making applesauce. The screen that comes with the Roma is perfect for tomatoes and apples, but the berry screen has smaller holes so it doesn't let the blackberry seeds through. It made the de-seeding process so simple. It's amazing. In fact, I pretty much sat back, well, chased around our baby who's crawling and climbing on everything, while several of the other kids de-seeded the berries. Just like when you sauce apples, you need to put the junk, that's what we call this stuff that comes out the end here, back in the top several times to make sure it gets all the juicy, pulpy goodness off the berries. This works with frozen berries too. You can put the berries you pick directly into the freezer, well, in a freezer bag, and then wait to do your syrup or jam until the berries are done for the season. That way you don't have to go through this whole process several times through the berry season. Just wait till the end and do them all. When I de-seed frozen berries, I warm them up on the stove. You get a lot more juice out of hot berries than out of cold ones. Like I said, you can double or triple this recipe without any trouble. I usually make as much as will fit in the pot I'm using, but today I'll just show you a regular batch. Okay, in a large saucepan we're gonna mix 4 cups of blackberry juice or pulp that's de-seeded, 1½ cups of sugar, 1 tablespoon of bottled lemon juice, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, over medium heat, you're going to bring the mixture to a boil while stirring constantly. And then as soon as it starts to boil, we'll boil it for 4 minutes. Okay, it's just starting to boil here. It's such a pretty color, isn't it? Okay, it's boiling really well now here. We're going to set the timer for 4 minutes. Okay, after 4 minutes, we're going to remove it from the heat and add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and 2 tablespoons of butter. Ooh, this has been sitting out, it's nice and soft. Just mix that around till it's completely combined. These are the secret ingredients for truly amazing blackberry syrup. It'll thicken slightly as it cools, but you can eat it hot too. Oh, it smells so good. At this point you can use it fresh, freeze it, or can it. It'll be fine in your fridge for a couple of weeks or in your freezer for much longer. Have it on pancakes or waffles, but don't forget to try it on ice cream or cheesecake too. It's divine. If you're freezing it, you can use empty peanut butter jars or salad dressing bottles or any other handy freezable container. Canning is only slightly more complicated. If you're familiar with the canning process, then it's a cinch. I usually use quart jars for our family because we go through lots of this stuff, but it's fine to use any size jar. You'll start out by washing your jars in hot soapy water. Sterilize the jars by turning them upside down in a pan of simmering water. Put your flat lids in the simmering water as well. Alternatively, you could run the jars through a cycle in the dishwasher. Ladle your hot syrup into your jars. Fill the jars, leaving about a ½ inch of head space at the top. Clean the rim of each jar before putting on the lid. Put your hot flat lid on your clean jar rim. Use the jar wrench to hold the hot jar and screw the band on tightly, but not too tightly. Here are the canning times, according to your elevation, for pints and for quarts, using a water bath or a steam canner. I have all of these instructions along with a printable recipe on my website, sixfiguresunder.com, and I'll leave a link for that below. I mentioned earlier that I can syrup and jam in quart jars. Nowadays they never give processing times for quarts of jam, but you can find them in older books. My mother-in-law has always done jam in quart jars without a problem, so that's what I've always done, and I'm perfectly fine with it. I process quarts for about 5 minutes longer than I do pints. But if processing quarts makes you nervous, just do pints. Use a steam canner or a water bath canner. I prefer using a steam canner, which takes less water and is not so bulky. In a steam canner, you start timing once the steam coming out of the hole is at least the length of a quart jar. Using the jar lifter from your canning tools, or a hot pad if you're using a steam canner, move your jars to the counter. I usually set them on a towel and let them cool overnight in a non-drafty area. About 24 hours later, remove the rings, wash the jars, and check the seal. Pull up lightly on the flat lid with your finger to test the seal. If it pulls off easily, the jar did not seal right. Don't fret, because you can put the unsealed jar in the fridge to use first. All the jars that sealed well can be stored for years in your pantry or other relatively cool and dark location. Label them with the year and contents so that you can keep your food storage rotated. And that's it! Serve your blackberry syrup on your breakfasts or desserts. We love it on pancakes, waffles, French toast, ice cream, cheesecake, yogurt. You seriously can't go wrong. Okay, I hope you love it as much as we do.